Hello everybody, my name is Ukmar and this is Hotla Mode, and today on Hotla Mode we are getting into the Ambani wedding that you probably saw everywhere. Did a little bit of coverage on the pre-wedding ceremony of the Ambani wedding that happened this week a while back, so if you haven't seen that video, get into it. We have been learning slowly but surely about the Ambani family. Now, for those of you that don't know who the Ambanis are, you don't really understand what's going on. Anant Ambani, who is the son of Mukesh Ambani, who is one of the richest men in Asia, if not the richest, and he's married to this woman named Nita Ambani. They have a kid, Anant. Now, Anant is getting married to this woman named Radhika Merchant, who is now Radhika Ambani, and it's been like a really big deal. The thing is, Rihanna performed at the pre-ceremony, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, Cena showed up to the wedding. There's a lot been going on in the world, and so we gotta talk about the outfits because these are truly wedding outfits. They're showing up and outfitting themselves, truly. We gotta discuss all the looks, talk about it, because there's some looks that people are very into, there are some looks that people are like, this is incredibly disrespectful, Kim Kardashian. We gotta get into it. Now, we're gonna start off with Radhika Merchant Ambani. Now, Radhika wore this specific look for her actual wedding. There's a bunch of other looks because nowadays a wedding is not complete without multiple looks, and I feel like that's probably a thing a little bit more in India, but like now it's also reached the West where you don't have just one look, you gotta have like 4. So the first look that we see Radhika in is by Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla, which is one of the premier designers of India. This look is called a Gagra Choli. Now, the thing is, we've been talking a lot about lehengas recently when we were looking at the pre-wedding ceremony. Now, the thing is, the Gagra is a sort of skirt. And by the look of this skirt, it's not really like a sort of skirt, it's like a skirt. And the thing about the Gagra is, it is a big sort of skirt, a little bit more, I don't want to say formal, but it definitely is not as clingy and sort of tight. It's a little bit more out there, a little more bodacious. It's covered in all of this beautiful embroidery, as is the rest of the look. And now this is called a Zardozi embroidery, which is the act of using metal embroidery on different fabrics. So we have this beautiful silk here, and we can see that there's a lot of what to me looks like gold, but I believe that it's also possibly white. It might just be the lighting that's making it look gold. And a lot of red, which is part of like the panetar, which is a Gujarati tradition of the bride and the groom wearing red and white during the wedding. That's the Gagra. It's really stunning. The red bands around the bottom, I mean, like even the circular embroideries that are going on there too, it's stunning. Radhika is covered in jewelry. It's insane. I believe that a lot of this jewelry comes from her family. It's her mother's or her grandmothers or aunts and things like that, so it's kind of like a sentimental thing. It's just everywhere, and it's big, and it's bold, and I genuinely think those emeralds wild. But as we can see, she's wearing what to us in the West, we would be like, oh, that's a crop top. Well, it's not really a crop top. It's called a choli, and it's a traditional garment, and the choli essentially is sort of something that bears the midriff, but no matter what you're wearing, either like a gagra or a lehenga, you usually wear a choli with it. So, that if you're thinking, oh, I'm looking at this crop top, you're really looking at a choli, and now you're much more cultured and educated on Indian cultural fashion. But as we can also see, there are these sort of beautiful gold embroidery bits on the choli and a red band. Again, that sort of theme of red and white for the bride and the groom. But there's also this stunning, stunning veil. I'm obsessed with it. That red band that sort of sits across, it looks like a mosaic to me. It has very Catholic ideas of grandeur, in my personal opinion. Very cardinal. I grew up Catholic. And we can also see in reality the way that the veil sort of obviously sits and falls down her head, but also it sort of like is draped in a certain manner that it comes across and sits asymmetrically across both the choli and the gagra. It's stun. It's really stun. I'm also just obsessed with the red dupatta. Now the dupatta is kind of like the third part. It's like a 3-piece suit, if you will. The dupatta is the sort of stole or like scarf that normally is paired with different lehengas, cholis, or gagra cholis. So that dupatta is a bright red. It's beautiful. It's covered in, again, that Zardozi embroidery in gold. And like, it's so long and it falls and like the way that it hits the stairs, it's good stuff right there. This is what you want a bride to look like. Now, let's talk about Radhika's husband, Anant. Now, I believe that Anant is wearing a sherwani, which is a sort of longer tunic-like coat that is for more formal occasions. Now, we can see, obviously, that Anant is also following in on this whole idea of the panetar, which is red, and white, because his jacket is this beautiful bright red, and then it's covered in beautiful, I believe it's not actually embroidery, it might be brocade. It might be like a brocade jacket that does have crystals in it, so like certain flowers have little crystals in them. The buttons are made up of, I assume, diamonds and emeralds, because one thing that I've realized in this experience is they're not really big on like rhinestones. And the jacket, I love it. I think the color is great. I think the fit looks good. I even love the little collar, which I feel like is part of the sherwani itself. Again, that emerald brooch, I didn't even really see that. I don't know who made that, but that thing is a rock. You could really clobber somebody, you know what I mean? You could cause a concussion with that thing. The necklace, it all is good to me. It looks great. We also can see that there is this sort of cool elephant embroidery on the back, and it's made up of sequins and different sort of pearls and little sort of glass beads and buttons. It's just overall cool look. Very into it. And now we have more Radhika looks that we have to get into. From my understanding, towards the end of a wedding ceremony in Hindu and Indian tradition, there is this thing called the vidai, which is essentially where the parents of the bride sort of give up the bride and sort of so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu. Now, for the vidai, Radhika actually wore a Manish Malhotra design. Now, Manish Malhotra we'll talk about a lot in this video. He is another one of the premier Indian designers. Now, in Hindu weddings, I believe at the end of the ceremony, there's this thing called the vidai, which is essentially where the bride's family sort of gives her away and sort of understands that like she's going on to live her new life with her new family. For that, Radhika changed, and she wore a look by the brand Manish Malhotra, which is another one of the premier Indian designers. And again, we see this sort of theme of red and gold throughout. Now, we can see that she is wearing this sort of blouse that is made up of gold embroidery. Stunning, beautiful. I also love this sort of little side waist cutout. Now, I assume that this is still a choli, and I don't know if there are different kinds of cholis based on sort of lengths and things like that, but I do think it's interesting to see the sort of continuation of bearing certain parts of the skin. So we can see there are little side cutouts that expose parts of the waist, but I'm obsessed with like the high collar and the gold. The fact that this is all embroidery and it's Karchobi embroidery, which is a special sort of kind and style of embroidery, and was inspired apparently by the traditional abho, which is kind of like a kaftan of sorts and was worn by women historically, and also the rich textile heritage of the Kutch, Gujarat, and also inspired by different artistries of the late 19th century in India. I think it's beautiful. Now, it's paired with a lehenga, which again, that's something that we have not seen yet in this specific video, but as we can see with the lehenga here, I'm not saying that it's not big, because I think it is still pretty wide skirt-wise, but I do think that it's interesting to see the sort of difference between the gagra and the lehenga in this Radhika side by side. That one feels a little bit more prominent and boisterous in terms of silhouette, and the other one feels just a little bit more tamped down. This one still is highly decorated. Now, this is in a multi-paneled Banarasi brocade, so it's not embroidered, or at least not all embroidered. There is brocade sort of built into it, and it seems that the dupatta is also based on that Banarasi woven sort of brocade style. I just think she looks really, really beautiful. I like the idea of the gold sort of choli being just gold up top and letting the red really sort of splash itself out, either around the sort of shoulder area or, for the most part, on the lower half of the body. I think she's stunning. I'm gonna be honest, Anant, if you're watching this video, very lucky man, because my God, I could look at her all day long. Now, for the first sort of official look at Radhika Ambani and Anant Ambani together as like a married couple, we see them change outfits. Now, Anant is also wearing, I believe, another sherwani. This one is like, oh, it's obviously in this beautiful red with gold embroidery. I love the embroidery on it, or the rhinestoning on it. Like, the sleeves are really stunning. The band of that sort of elephants and plants and horses and things that sit right around the hem of it it's lovely. Like, it's cool. It's really, really cool. It's really, really beautiful. I like the pant. I like the shoe. I like it all. He looks good. I'm into it. Now, as for Radhika, she went a little bit, I don't want to say like out of the ordinary, but it feels maybe a little out of the ordinary. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, which would be very fair. So if I don't, I'm sure you will all let me know, and I appreciate you keeping me in check at all times. Now here, Radhika is actually wearing Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla again, but this time it's in collaboration with a certain artist whose name is Jayashree Burman, and I mean, like, it's really beautiful. kind of love it. It's this beautiful lehenga, and it's hand painted on, from what I understand, Italian canvas. I don't really know if they were painted on specific canvases and then, like, I don't know, somehow added onto the skirt. I don't really know, but the humans on it are meant to sort of represent the happy couple becoming happy and enjoying a very beautiful celestial aura. Then also we can see that there are a lot of animals on it, ducks and swans and elephants and fauna and flora and all these things, and that is also meant to sort of pay homage to the fact that Anant loves animals, which I think is cool. We can see it also on the choli up top. There are these sort of little elephants on the sleeve, and I believe that those are all either embroidered or embellished on top, and there's more of those sort of floral styles there as well. Again, Radhika's necklace and the earring, so much beauty, so much jewelry, so heavy. She must have a beautifully strong neck. I also love, I assume this is also a dupatta. I don't know, I feel like it's kind of draped differently, but I love the way that it wraps around and still exposes the sort of silhouette of the skirt. But she's also just wearing it, and she has her arm, and they're holding hands, and then she's also adjusting her hair. And also the crazy thing is they look to me peonies, big ass peonies in her hair, and I'm obsessed with it, and I don't understand it, but I love it. I think it looks beautiful. And there's also some sort of chiffon, it looks like it's a sort of ombre of red and sort of wine colored chiffon that sort of moves out of the back of her hair, creates a train of some sort. I love it. I think it's really cool and interesting. Now the last look that we'll talk about is more of a reception look, and it's partially by Dolce & Gabbana. It's actually the dress is all by Dolce & Gabbana, and I believe that that's from their haute couture collection. But she also is wearing a sari, and that is by Anamika Khanna, which is honestly also really beautiful in this gold. We see again this continuation of this sort of gold theming throughout. I actually quite like the Dolce & Gabbana look. I do think that it's really, really beautiful. I think that they do gold and sort of really Italian sort of over-the-top glamour very, very well. I also think that the sari is really, really beautiful. I mean, the way that it wraps around her, the way that it almost looks like molten gold cascading down at the back. It's stunning to look at. You can't deny the beauty. It just is beautiful, and I'm obsessed. So now let's talk about the mother of the groom, Nita Ambani, fashion icon. I'm obsessed with her. I love. Now, she is wearing a custom sari by Manish Malhotra, and I love it. Now, I believe that it's made of a fabric called rangkat, which is essentially where you sort of interweave different threads into the weave, and that's sort of how you get this different design. And I also love the fact that it kind of has this patchwork effect to it. There are all these really, really beautiful patterns, from that green and gold to the sort of periwinkle to the pink to that sort of more key limey green. It's very interesting to see. And then the sort of gold sort of borders close in on it. And her hair, I love, and it's just cool. It's a cool look. I love it from the back as well. I think you get to see more of the pattern sort of styles. You get to see more of the embroidery in it. It's just different, most definitely different, but still really rather beautiful. Now we have another look from Nita Ambani. Now she is wearing Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla, and this, I believe, is a look that is made up mostly of a gagra, a choli, and dupatta as well. It's in this really luscious pink, and I think the thing that is kind of amazing about the pink for the most part is it's filled with, again, embroidery. It's just crazy to me how much handwork goes into it. And I know that India is the land of embroidery, but it's always just amazing to see. The green in the necklace and the earrings and the cuffs, the bracelets, the layered bracelets, and the ring, done. Done. I can go home. We can all go home. But what I'll also say is, as for the actual gagra, and it looks like the dupatta as well, I love the fact that they have these really beautiful matching embroideries that obviously look at architecture and different sort of elements of interior design, I would say, of Indian buildings, culture. Now, I believe the name is Jali, and it's essentially perforated stone or latticed screens that have certain patterns, and so that's possibly what the inspiration is. It could also just be the architectural elements of the way that stone is carved, and that's kind of what it looks like to me as well. It could be, a little bit of both. Either way though, the pink with the red and the gold I actually think pops so beautifully, and then the green on top of it, gagged, gooped, loved. And I think that's the other crazy thing about Radhika's look is that if your mother-in-law is going to give it to the girls, you in fact have to beat out your mother-in-law. And like, that's a hard thing to do when we just saw what she looks like. I gotta respect Radhika on that one. Now, next up we have Isha Ambani, who is wearing Manish Malhotra. Now, Isha is the sister-in-law of Radhika and the sister of Anant. I love this look as well. I think it's really, really beautiful. I don't know, I can't really see because the dupatta is kind of wrapped all up over everything. I'm not sure if it's a lehenga choli or a gagra choli. I don't want to say what it is because I don't really know. I have an idea of what they're supposed to look like. You know, I don't got that technical finesse to understand, so I apologize. But I do know that she's wearing a choli underneath, and I just love this dupatta of the gold with the pink. And I think it's really interesting again to see that like pink is a color that's allowed, but red is like definitely seemingly off limits. I just think that the floral embroidery is so light and delicate and petite and lovely. I know that the look was supposed to be inspired by like the blooming of love, you know, as a way to celebrate her brother and sister-in-law getting married. Again, like we just see that dupatta in gold as it sort of reaches around the back, and it's stunning and it's ravishing, and she's stunning and she's ravishing, and I love. We do get to see another Isha Ambani look, and this one is by Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla as well. This obviously is pink and gold too. We can see those beautiful sort of stripes that pipe around the dupatta, and I assume this is a gagra. I don't want to say again because I don't really know, but that's just my assumption because I feel like the gagra doesn't allow as much of the midriff to be shown, and the lehenga is more midriff. I do love the choli. Again, I think the gold at the bust and then the pink sort of sitting right underneath, as well as sort of coming in towards the chest line, is rather sweet, with the gold on the sleeves. Lovely. Again, I just love, the bottom of what I assume is a gagra. Obviously, it's fully pink, the gagra, but then you have this sort of like silver and then gold and then pink band, and like that I really enjoy, that I really love. Yeah, she's stunning. She's beautiful. Face card. Yeah, I don't know what it is. The Ambanis, they got the face cards, so obsessed. Now, next up we have Shloka Ambani, who is another one of Anant's sisters and Radhika's sister-in-law. I love this Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla. I believe it's a lehenga. I believe. I'm not exactly sure. It could be a gagra. Again, I don't know. I really like this. I think the pink, again, really sweet, really lovely. It just is a lovely color. Now, as for her choli, it has fringe, actually, which sits right underneath the hem and then as well on the sleeve. I think it's kind of cute. I like the use of the pink with the gold and green foliage that sort of runs throughout it. But the skirt is beautiful. All of this really sort of light, glittery embroidery is stunning. You have elephants and tigers that are all over the place. The foliage, the flora is so sweet in this blue and this light green and almost like a salmony pink. Little birds and tassels, and the dupatta is so sweet. She looks great. She looks really sweet and lovely. I don't know. It's just pretty. She's so nice. Next up we have Alia Bhatt, who's wearing Manish Malhotra. Now, as for this, honestly, it's more of like a deeper pink, and it has gold brocade throughout it. I think it's pretty. It's, you know, nothing crazy compared to what we've seen, but I do think, again, these women are so stunning. The draping is really beautiful. The color matching really, really works, and I like the idea of, I assume those are kind of like polka dots of some sort. They probably are not polka dots. They're not called polka dots, but I assume that they're almost like a polka dot. I think it's a rather intriguing motif to run throughout the look. She looks cute. I like it. Next up we have Ananya Panday, and she is wearing raw mango. Now this, I believe, is a gagra look. I love it. The purple is so beautiful. It's so deep. It's so gorgeous. The skirt, again, I assume it's a gagra. I don't really know, but I mean, like, not in movement, it's one thing. The gold sort of swooping, swagging sashes are sweet, and then the florals that sort of sit in between the sashes are lovely. But when she's moving and it creates a sort of like big fan skirt thing, yes, stun, gorgeous, lovely, beautiful, embroidery, India. It's good stuff. Really love the choli. I think it's sweet. I like the actual embellishments on the neckline. I think that's kind of nice. And then you have the purple dupatta. Again, not probably a polka dot, but to me it looks like a polka dot. I assume that it's actually not like a circle. It probably has, you know, I don't know, a design in it. And then again, sort of trimmed in this beautiful gold. All in all, stunning. Really love it in motion. Very hot. The girls know how to sell you the garment. Next up we have Janhvi Kapoor, and she's wearing Falguni Shane Peacock. Full gold regalia. I really like this. I think it's a little bit different than what we've been seeing. I think for the most part, because I assume this is a lehenga, and it's just gone full sequin embellishment glitter. There's not really, except on the dupatta, which is like that little stole, obviously, a lot of room for just the fabric to exist on its own. A lot of the choli and also the skirt really just do have a covering, a smattering of gold embellishment. In reality, I think it kind of sets a different tone. In reality, it's not really about like fabric per se. It's really about the craftsmanship, the amount of time and energy that goes into creating something that shines and glitters so like that. I also love the little sort of bejewelment that sits at the bottom of the choli. I think it's gorge. I think it's gorge. Next up, we have John Cena. Yeah, John Cena. Everybody was a little bit shook. A lot of it shook. I like his look. I think it's fun. I don't know if it's a Sherwani. It could be. I'm not 100% sure. I do think the blue is nice on him. I do think that the gold embroidery of the flowers is quite lovely. The pants work. The shoe, meh, I don't know. I mean, like, should I expect more from John Cena? No. I wish I couldn't see those shoes. But whatever, he looked fine. All right, next up we gotta talk about the Kardashians, because they arrived. I don't know if anybody was expecting it. I was not. The first look we have is Kim and Khloe both wearing Manish Malhotra. Khloe looks stunned. Like, I'm obsessed. Khloe, she looks beautiful. I assume that these are lehengas. I really like the off-the-shoulder choli on Khloe, and I like the fact that it has like a long full sleeve. I think the bands of sort of gold with the pearls drops on them are really quite sweet all throughout. I love the sort of diamond motif as well across the actual sort of center of the choli too. It looks like it's a sort of silk, and then we get these sort of, I don't want to say they're godets because they're obviously not godets, but to me, the way that they sort of triangle up and slowly slim as you reach the top, it's kind of like a godet. They're almost like the embroidery and embellishment, and I think those are really quite sweet. I love the dupatta, the way that it's wrapped. I think it's lovely. The necklace, it all looks good. I think Khloe really looks stunning. I don't know how appropriate, how realistic it is, but I'm sold. As for Kim, from what I read, you're really not supposed to wear red if you're not the bride of the groom. So Kim is certainly taking attention. What I will say is, like, I know that there were pictures of the Ambanis and Kim hanging out, so like I don't think that they were too upset, but from what I've seen, apparently like wearing red is kind of like wearing white at like a Western wedding. Faux pas you're not supposed to do. As far as the look goes, I think it's very Kimified. It's not that, I guess you're not supposed to have like the girls out with a choli, but maybe not fit as tightly and press the girls. I think maybe that's what is throwing me off a little bit. The big tassels I think are interesting. The straps are fine. The skirt, it's beautiful. Again, like it's all beautiful. I do wish that the dupatta was a little bit bigger. Again, I don't really know the cultural implications of small dupatta, big dupatta, but I would have liked a bigger one because I think I would have enjoyed seeing Kim a little bit more draped up. And I don't mean that in the sense of like she had to cover up. I just mean I think it would have been interesting to see her in like a full, you know, draped dupatta experience because there's so many ways to do it. So I don't know. I think this is fine, but I'm not sold. Like Khloe, sold. Now, there were some more pictures of Kim and Khloe. One of them saw Khloe in this beautiful pink ensemble on both of the Kardashians, and they're both still, again, wearing Manish Malhotra. Let's talk about Khloe first. I love the pink on her. I think it's really lovely. I think it's really regal. Again, I do think that you have this idea of like the choli, but it doesn't have to sort of be covering the whole of the torso, but it doesn't feel like it's ill-fitting. Again, I do think that the pearl strands that sit and sort of create like faux sleeves are also quite lovely and chic and sort of play into what we see in between the lattice work that's going on across this sort of center of the choli. There are little pearl drops there. There's a lot of like pearl theming, and I think it's quite sweet. The dupatta is sort of draped. Again, I guess that's like a style. I don't know, the skinny sort of drape. It doesn't have to be super big, super bold. But Khloe, again, did like a bigger style earlier, so like the difference is fine with me. And again, the skirt. Love, beautiful, stunning, gorgeous, that vibrant pink, all of the embellishments, the rhinestones, the jewels, like really quite sweet. The Birkin, or Kelly, I don't know, it's an ostrich, it's pink, I'm into it. As for Kim, I like this one. People were not into it, but again, like what do I really no. I do think that I assume this is a lehenga. The choli thing, I don't know. I feel like as much as I do like the whole look, and I feel like I really like the whole look just because she's wearing the jewelry that goes from the ear into the nose, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I do feel like the choli could cover a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. And listen, I'm not one to be like, you have to cover up. Whoever gave it to you, gave it to you. That's fine. But I feel like, again, it would have been more interesting to see a sort of more covered up version, because I also think it would have lent to a little bit more of the embellishment and the embroidery and the beauty of those kinds of things. As for like the sleeves, again, I'm not really sold completely on the sheer. I just feel like it would have been better not sheer. I also think the skirt's fine. I think the skirt's cute. Again, I assume it's either a lehenga or a gagra. I don't believe that it's a gagra, but I do think the drop that sort of goes across little fringiness is intriguing, and the floral embellishments and embroideries also, again, beautiful. But it doesn't exactly give the dupatta-ness that we've been seeing throughout most of these looks. So again, it's really something. I know that Kim is wearing all Lorraine Schwartz jewelry, and I do think that it looks really, really beautiful. Again, I don't really know all that much, but the one thing that I do love, again, is this nath. It's N-A-T-H, is a symbol of fertility and relates back to the goddess Parvati, who, you know, was a goddess of fertility and also wore a nath, and so I assume that's why Kim is wearing it. I think it looks beautiful on everybody. I think they're lovely, and I think they're really intriguing and gorgeous, so that's just me. But overall, Khloe really, I think, is taking the cake. Now, Kim did wear one more look, and this is by the designer Gaurav Gupta, who I really love. I love his sort of like liquidy draped styles, the way that these sort of bands of really tight sort of draped or pleated fabrics sort of come together. Now again, the red, people were very not happy about the red. They feel like it's inappropriate to wear red, but also these guys behind her are also wearing red, so I don't know if it was okay at that point to wear red, because obviously they wore these outfits on different days. What I will say is I love the veil. The green emeralds are also really, really beautiful. Again, something I'm noticing is like the green emerald was something that was worn by the family and also by Radhika. The Gaurav Gupta look is stunning. The shoe I didn't really get. I don't really understand the pleaser shoe. I feel like something different maybe would have worked a little bit better, like the clear pleaser. I don't know, wasn't really understanding, but okay. Next up we have Kriti Sanan, who is wearing our PT Mena, and honestly, again, I think the pink is really beautiful. I actually love the dupatta sort of motif, whatever it is. It looks almost like different kind of boxes or grids. And again, the fact that it's piped in beautiful gold embroidery. The choli, I guess again, like there are different ways of doing the choli, so like maybe I can't be as mad at the Kardashians as I was, but I think it's also just rather intriguing to see. What I will say is the skirt, again, lovely. The motif might not be for me. It might not be the thing that I love in terms of print preference, but like to each. I think she looks pretty. Next up we have Law Roach. I think Law looks great. I love this coat. It's so beautiful. That deep velvet with the embellishments and the embroidery. Stunning. I love the sort of shirting underneath. Again, really cool. The scaparelli, gold toe. Yeah, sold. Easy. Love. Law. Next up we have Mira Kapoor, who is wearing Arpita Mehta. Now, again, I think the gold throughout is always really, really nice, but I'm really obsessed with the black and gold here. I mean, I assume it's a lehenga. I don't think it's a gagra, but the black and gold really work so, so well together. I mean, it's just like a stunning combination. The different designs, the foliage that stream up, it's stunning. I don't know exactly what inspires each of the embroideries, but I'm always aghast in awe of how beautiful they are. The choli is cute. I like it. Again, I think maybe it's just I don't know enough about the cholis to really understand what exactly they're supposed to do. And the dupatta, again, beautiful, stunning, long, gorgeous, lovely. I also love the fact that all of these people understand how to match the room to the outfit. Because Mira is wearing a black and gold look, and then the carpet is black and gold. They're on it. Next up, we have Priyanka Chopra Jonas, who's wearing Tarun Tahiliani. I love this yellow, this gold. It's so stunning on her. Again, I think I missed the idea of the choli in terms of like more sort of crop toppy-ness. I just think it's beautiful. I think the dupatta is stunning, the way that it's draped and the fact that it sort of adds into the skirt. I love the fact that I believe it's a lace. It looks like a lace of some sort going throughout the skirt. Really beautiful. The color really, really works on her. It's so easy. It's so not understated, but like also kind of understated. It's not too heavy-handed on embroidery and, you know, pattern and things like that. It's just, she's wearing a beautiful color and a beautiful silhouette. What more do you need? And lastly, we have Sara Ali Khan and Ibrahim Ali Khan. Again, they look great. I like it. I love the fact that Sara is wearing not like a full sort of bright, vibrant color. I like more muted browns and beiges. I think it really works. And I also think that it allows a lot of the embroidery work and the beadwork to do the work, if that makes sense. I love the sheerness going on. I think there's like beautiful folds of fabric. Ibrahim looks great. I love the sherwani. I think it looks cool, really simple, really easy, really understated. All right, so that is the end of our Ambani wedding review. Let's talk about best and worst. Best, I'm putting the first Khloe Kardashian look in there because I thought she looked great. I'm also putting Radhika in the wedding look, dye look, stun. Isha Ambani in that Manish Malhotra look. Nita Ambani in Abu Jani Sandeep Khosla. Shloka Ambani. Everybody turned it out. So I enjoyed. I really did. But let me know what you guys all think in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and please educate me if I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm very open to it. So I will see you guys in the next video, and TTYL.